With this photograph, we're going to explore an intriguing technique which will allow us to create some bright, vivid, and saturated colors. Well, this image already has a great color palette, but let's say we want to take this even further. Well, in order to accomplish this technique, what we need to do is to duplicate the image. To duplicate your file, simply go to Image, and then here we'll choose Duplicate. This will then give us the ability to name this. We don't need to name the duplicate here because we won't be saving it, but we will be working on it. So let's simply click OK and use that default name. Next, let's position these two images side by side so that we can evaluate our progress. Well, the first thing that we're going to do is use selective color in order to bring out some of the vibrant tones here. To access selective color, click on your adjustment layer icon and then choose selective color. Here we can target different colors, reds, yellows, greens, so on. Well, if we work on the reds, we can really target some of these background tones, and what we can do is we can change the overall color that we see in the background, and you can see how that's swinging one way or another. And what's interesting is while you use these sliders, what you'll do is simply modify their direction, swing it one way or another until you get the look that you like. You can also affect the overall brightness or darkness. Now here, just with this simple adjustment, compare the two images. Look at the lipstick, the eyes, the phone, the background. Well, speaking of the phone, let's bring out some of those yellows. Here we can change that overall color of the phone. We can really work on those yellows, brightening them up, or adding a little bit of a color shift to those, one way or another. And in this case, again, I think we just want to have this nice, bright, vivid color there, and already the image is looking a ton better. Here we go, our before and then our after, using selective color to bring out some interesting and vivid tones. Well, the next step is going to be to flatten this down. We can do that by a shortcut. The shortcut is Command or Control E. Now what we want to do from here is take this image to the lab color space. That will give us the ability to add even more color to this file. To do so, navigate to your Image pull-down menu, select Mode, and then choose Lab Color. And Lab Color is a ton of fun because the gamut is so wide. You can do so much with color here. Well, what we're going to do is click on our adjustment layer icon for curves. And you'll notice in curves we have lightness and A and B. A little bit different than curves in RGB, right? Well, in order to saturate this file and bring out these colors, we'll click in the A channel. Next, we're going to go ahead and click up in this top point and drag it over to the left. And then we want to do the same thing with the point here in the bottom, making sure that the middle point is just where it was previously. Now, however far we drag this in is how saturated the image will become. If we do this a little bit less, again, making sure that that midpoint is always there in the middle, you'll see it's a little bit less saturation. Well, we want to do this with both channels. And what this does is not only add saturation, it adds color variance. So there's more colors in the photo. All right, well, that's pretty interesting. I'll go back to that A channel, and I'm going to exaggerate this just so we can see the effect there. And then I'll go ahead and look at the before and after. Here we have it, before and then after. Well, in this case, I think it's too strong, so lower the opacity. Go ahead and lower that down until I have a nice color look here, and then look at before and after. Nice vibrant color. If you look at the lips, the background tone, some of these colors here. Well, the next thing that you might want to do is paint on this mask. Here I'll grab my brush tool, and I'll paint with black. And I'll paint with black with a pretty high opacity, 74%. And I'm just going to mask out some of these color adjustments in a few areas. I didn't like the color of the phone cord there, or the pink on the finger, or the pink underneath the headband there, or also this color here over on this phone cord on this side. So I'm just going to mask this out in order to limit some of these places where it was just really saturated a bit too far. And that's a great thing about using an adjustment layer is we have that flexibility. Well, here we have it, our before and then our after. And again, just for the sake of argument, I'll increase this just a bit too far. All right, well, there we have our before and after. Pretty interesting. The next thing we need to do is to go back to the RGB color space. But first, we want to flatten this. Use that same shortcut as we did before. It's Command or Control E. We're ready to leave the lab color space. So now we go to Image, Mode, and RGB Color. All right, well, now that we're back in RGB, what I want to do is drag the copy of the file into the original document. So to do that, we grab our Move tool, hold down the Shift key, and then click and drag and drop. And now we have this image in our original file. Well, here let's press F to go to full screen view mode, and let's name this layer color. The great thing about having this layer is that if this is too intense, we can lower the opacity. We can find a nice spot for this, maybe something right about there. Here's our before and then after. Really interesting, vivid, and bright colors. And you know what else we can do, which is fascinating, is we can actually apply a blending mode to this oversaturated layer, this layer with all of these colors. And what that will do is it will give us a very different look. Let's try that out. We'll go to our blending mode of soft light, and here you can see we have this look which is really distinct because of all that color saturation that we created. The soft light blending then leads to different results. It's a little bit more of a glowing result almost. That skin tone just looks so fascinating, and all of the other surrounding colors as well. So here I'll lower the opacity and look at my before and then after. So not only can we use this layer as a destination layer, just a normal layer, but we can also use this layer with some of our different blending modes and some of our different blending techniques in order to come up with some fascinating results. All right, well, let's go ahead and increase the opacity here just a bit and look at our overall before and after. Here it is, before and then after.